You have expressed much hope in what could be a different relationship between President Biden and Putin. How does that look?
Thank you for asking, but I hope there will be no relationship as we saw between Trump and Putin. And Biden will defend the interests of the United States and the free world against a Russian dictator. And one of the things he can do is to back his tough words with actions. I spoke a lot, I wrote a lot about sanctions, targeted sanctions, aiming at Russian oligarchs, Putin's cronies. But also, I think Biden can send a signal to business community. Because every time Putin faces trouble in Russia, like now, he reaches out to his friends and partners in the free world for support. And it's every time the Russian people short Putin, international fat cats come to his rescue because they're all along on his dictatorship. And following this, the most famous story these days from the stock market, I can say that when they're done with GameStop, maybe we need to get Redditors to drive down Putin's support to go after the funds and groups that prop him up.
Well, listen to that, Redditors. Garry Kasparov calling upon you to act like the K-poppers and do something similar with the Russia situation. But Garry, you know, and I do want to talk about GameStop in a moment if you can, but for now I want to ask you, do you foresee any kind of relationship being possible between the US and Russia? Should there be an effort on the part of the Biden administration to maybe soften a little bit the aggressive stance?
Look, Soviet Union and the United States had relations because that was the only way to avoid an open confrontation, which could end up with nuclear Armageddon. Today, I don't believe we have the same, threat of this global disaster as 50, 60 years ago. But what is very important that American administration recognizes the threat coming out of Moscow. You look at the world map and you look at many problems that Biden administration had to deal with, and you'll find Putin's fingerprints almost everywhere. Iranian problem, Putin is there. North Korea, and of course dictatorship in Belarus, Venezuela. You have Putin's oligarchs now mudding waters in Africa. Of course, massacres in Syria, and it's there's only one way to weaken Putin and to force him either cut his activities or stop his hybrid wars altogether. It's follow the money. And it's not surprising that, instead of speaking to Russian people in the moment of trouble, to whom he has nothing to say, Putin rushes to appear at Davos with his pal Klaus Schwab. Because he knows that as long as he has a credibility from the heads of the states and business leaders, he's practically untouchable in Russia. The only way to remove this support from oligarchs and Russian elite is to demonstrate that Putin is no longer untouchable globally, and he's too toxic, and his protection will no longer serve them well.
Yes, Garry, I mean, what kind of chance do you give Alexei Navalny and supporters? I mean, the amount of arrests the other day was really quite phenomenal. I'm not sure the international community was quite prepared for Navalny's return to actually be that kind of success, quote unquote, even as 300,000 were arrested. I mean, could he be a force to topple Putin?
I think about 4,000 were arrested, and we actually, as we speak, many of them are facing criminal charges, because every indication is that this Sunday we'll see many people on the streets of Russian cities across Russia. We never had such massive protests since early 90s. That's actually happened in the Soviet Union, and that was quite a shock for Putin, because after Navalny exposed his endemic corruption in this very famous movie of Putin's $1 billion palace, one of the most watched movies on YouTube today with 100 million plus views, people, filled the streets because they wanted to show support for Navalny, but most important is to send a message to Kremlin. They are fed up with Putin, but Putin built a very, very strong security apparatus over 20 years, and he still has so much money to spend on securing his power in Russia. And as long as he's in power, I wouldn't bet on Navalny leaving jail being a free man, and I have very bad feelings about what to expect from the kangaroo court that will sentence Navalny for many years in prison. I believe Navalny's freedom depends very much on Putin's power. The moment Putin is out, the moment Putin is weak, Navalny has a good chance of becoming a free man and taking his proper place as one of the leading members of new Russian elite.